The sacred misfit. Why not belonging means you're meant to lead a new world. There's a kind of pain that doesn't come from loss or failure. It comes from disconnection. The kind of ache that lingers when you're surrounded by people, but still feel like a ghost. When you walk through the world like a visitor in a place you were born, and wonder silently to yourself, why do I feel like I don't belong anywhere? If you've ever felt like that, if you're feeling it right now, then I need you to hear this before anything else. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're not behind. You're a chosen one. And the reason you feel like you belong nowhere is because you're here to build something that doesn't exist yet. You were never meant to fit into the old world. You were meant to redefine it. Let's go all the way in. I want to take you into a truth so deep, it might rattle what you thought you knew about your life. Because this isn't about feeling left out. This isn't about social rejection or lacking community. It's about frequency. It's about mission. It's about being a soul that incarnated with codes, with vision, with divine memory so ancient and so rare that the old world simply has no place for it. And that's why you've always felt like an outlier. You see, belonging isn't about being accepted by the collective. It's about being in vibrational resonance with your environment. And when your soul is vibrating at the frequency of the new earth, but you're still surrounded by systems built on fear, control, and illusion, that dissonance shows up as isolation, emptiness, even depression. But here's the twist. That pain is sacred because it's a signal from your soul. It's telling you, this is not your final home. This is not your tribe. These are not your values. Keep going. Keep remembering. Keep building the world that your heart keeps dreaming of. Feeling like you don't belong isn't a curse. It's a compass. It means you're awake enough to see what others can't, to feel what others have numbed, to hear the whisper of a future no one else believes in yet. And yes, that's lonely, because pioneers are always lonely at first. But it's also a gift.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
A gift so profound that if you truly understood it, you would stop trying to fit in entirely. You would stop mourning your exile and start honoring your assignment. Let me be real with you. When I was younger, I tried to silence this gift. I tried to be normal. I tried to laugh at jokes that didn't resonate, pursue dreams that weren't mine, wear masks that suffocated my soul. I tried to belong, but every attempt felt like a betrayal. Because deep down, I knew I wasn't meant to blend in. I was meant to break the mold. And if you're still watching this, chances are, so were you. So let's talk about the deeper reason why chosen ones feel like they belong nowhere. It's because we carry soul mutations, evolutionary codes. We don't just think differently, we vibrate differently. And that vibration disrupts the unconscious patterns of the collective. That's why you've always made people uncomfortable without trying. Why you've been misunderstood, misjudged, underestimated, or projected upon. But guess what? That's because your very presence is activating. You are a mirror people weren't ready to look into. A reminder of a truth they buried. A spark of something ancient and future all at once. Chosen ones don't belong to the present world because we belong to the next one. And that next world, it doesn't exist yet. That's why you can't find it. Because it's not something to be found, it's something to be built through you. Let that sink in. You're not here to join something. You're here to birth something. But birth is messy. It's painful. It's lonely. It's full of sweat, screams, and surrender. And most of all, it's full of faith. A faith that what you feel in your heart is more real than what you see with your eyes. So if you feel like you belong nowhere, ask yourself this: what if I'm not here to belong, but to awaken others who feel the same? There are millions of us, scattered across the planet, hidden in cities, in small towns, in families that don't understand us, in systems that don't reflect us. But we're waking up, and as we do, we're starting to find each other. Not through the old ways of community, but through resonance. Because the new tribe isn't based on proximity. It's based on frequency. You don't need 100 people around you to feel seen. You just need one person who gets it. One soul who holds the same blueprint. One conversation that reminds you, I'm not crazy. I'm just ahead of my time. And that's all it takes to start remembering your mission. Because once you remember who you are, once you stop trying to belong to a world that was never built for you, you begin to anchor the new one. Let's get practical now, because awakening isn't just about insight. It's about embodiment. If you feel like you belong nowhere, stop trying to fit in. Start building a life that reflects your soul. Begin with your energy hygiene. Protect your field like it's sacred, because it is. You're sensitive for a reason. You're picking up on frequencies others don't even register. That's your gift, but you must learn to manage it. Ground daily. Meditate. Clear your field. Spend time in nature. Fast from noise. Then follow resonance relentlessly. If something feels off, it is. If someone drains you, release them. If a job contracts your spirit, it's not your path. Your intuition is not a luxury, it's your navigation system. Next, create what you crave. If you long for deeper conversations, initiate them. If you long for beauty, make it. If you long for connection, be the space where it can happen. Stop waiting for the world to change. You are the seed of that change. And finally, trust your timeline. It's so easy to look around and feel like you're behind. Like others are thriving, connecting, building, while you're sitting in your room wondering why no one gets you. But remember, you're not late. You're in preparation. The longer the void, the bigger the mission. You're being refined, calibrated, initiated, because your role isn't small. You're not just here to live a nice life. You're here to redefine reality. Let me ask you now, from the deepest part of your soul, what if your entire life has been preparing you to lead something that doesn't exist yet? Would you still curse your loneliness? Or would you start seeing it as sacred insulation? Would you still chase belonging? Or would you start becoming the kind of presence others could belong to? Because that's the shift, from seeking to embodying, from reacting to radiating, from being the misfit to being the blueprint. And when you live that way, when you stop trying to be understood and start becoming undeniable, you begin to draw in your true tribe. The ones who don't need you to explain. The ones who feel your frequency and say, finally, I found you. That moment is coming. But first you must become the version of you who no longer needs it to arrive. That's the paradox. You meet your tribe when you stop needing one. You find where you belong when you realize you were born to create it. The invisible kingdom. How chosen ones build worlds that others can't yet see. If you've ever questioned your place in this world, if you've ever stood in a crowd and wondered why you still feel alone, if you've ever looked into the mirror and thought, why do I feel like I'm from somewhere else? Then what you're experiencing is not confusion. It's revelation. You're not meant to fit into what exists. You're here to build what doesn't. Chosen ones don't just wake up and receive a mission, they are the mission. Their presence alone disrupts the density. Their frequency alone destabilizes the illusion. And that's why the world you were born into has never felt like home. Because it isn't. You are here to construct an invisible kingdom, a reality that doesn't yet exist in form, but is more real than anything you can touch. It lives in your dreams, your visions, your longings. The parts of you that seem too much, too deep, too intense, those are the blueprints. The truth is, every time you've been told you didn't belong, the universe was actually saying you were born to belong elsewhere. Build it. You were not misplaced. You were strategically planted. And now the soil is moving. The old world is shaking. The grid is cracking. And into that crack, chosen ones are pouring in, but not to save, not to fix, to create. So let's get real. No one is coming to hand you instructions. No one is going to point at you and say, now is the time to begin. Because your mission is not scheduled by society's clock. It's activated by soul timing. And soul timing is not linear. It's energetic. It's when your pain becomes unbearable enough that you stop running. It's when your isolation becomes sacred enough that you stop seeking. It's when your vision becomes loud enough that you stop doubting. That's when the build begins. But what are we building? We are building a new reality grid. A civilization rooted not in control, but in consciousness. Not in fear, but in frequency. Not in hierarchy, but in harmony. And that kingdom? It begins in you. You are the first temple, the first structure, the first beacon. So if you've been feeling like you're floating between worlds, it's because you are. You're no longer fully anchored in the old. But the new hasn't fully arrived. Welcome to the in-between. The quantum corridor where reality is being rewritten. And what you do in this space matters more than you realize. Because here, your thoughts are seeds. Your words are spells. Your energy is architecture. And every time you choose integrity over convenience, truth over approval, alignment over fitting in, you're laying another brick in that invisible kingdom. Let me ask you something that only a chosen one can answer honestly. Are you willing to be misunderstood by the world so you can be fully known by your soul? Because that's the trade. You will be called strange, radical, unrealistic, too sensitive, too intense, too spiritual, too much. But what they call too much is actually your essence finally taking up space. And that space? It's not ego. It's your assignment. You're here to hold a frequency that destabilizes the programming. That's why you've been attacked, dismissed, or ignored. You've triggered others just by existing, not because you're wrong, but because you're awake. And your light illuminates what others still hide from. But don't let that dim you, because every time you shrink, the new world slows down. And every time you rise, it accelerates. This is the part where you stop waiting and start transmitting. If you feel like you don't belong, it means you're vibrating at a level that's ahead of the collective field. You're tuned into data streams that others haven't accessed yet. That's not delusion. That's leadership. But leadership in the new paradigm isn't about control. It's about frequency stewardship. You don't lead with force. You lead by example, by living your truth so unapologetically that it becomes a permission slip for others to do the same. You become a living invitation. And here's the most powerful part: you don't need an audience to start. You don't need followers. You don't need a platform. You don't need a title. You just need to decide, I will no longer betray my soul to feel accepted by illusions. That decision alone rearranges your entire reality. Because once you choose authenticity over belonging, your true tribe begins to find you. Not through effort, through resonance. This is why you must stop trying to be understood by those who are not meant to walk with you. Their lack of resonance is not rejection. It's redirection. Let them go. Not with bitterness, but with gratitude. Because every closed door is protection from a frequency mismatch. And every moment of loneliness is a sacred echo calling you inward to the only place you've ever truly belonged, your own inner knowing. You've been trying to find a home out there. But the home you're looking for is the world you came to build in here. And the more you live from that place, the more visible your invisible kingdom becomes. Let's get practical again. You want to start building? Begin with your daily frequency choices. What do you consume every day? Information, food, conversations, are they aligned with your soul's vibration? What do you create every day? Are you putting your vision into form, or are you waiting for permission? Where do you spend your energy? Are you leaking it into systems that drain you, or investing it into the world that wants to be born through you? Every choice is a blueprint. Every moment is sacred. You don't need to wait for the stars to align. You are the alignment. And when you finally embody that truth, the invisible kingdom becomes inevitable. You don't just feel like you belong. You feel like you are becoming the place others will someday call home. That's why it's been so hard. That's why you felt so alone. Because you're not just creating a life. You're carving a pathway through time for those who will awaken after you. And when they do, they'll find your footprints, your words, your frequency, your work, your field. And they'll say, because you didn't give up, I found myself. That's the legacy of a chosen one. Not fame, not perfection, but frequency impact. So I'll ask you again, are you willing to be the first so others can remember they were never last? Are you willing to build the world you've never seen because you trust the vision more than the illusion? Are you willing to feel like you belong nowhere so you can finally become the place your soul always knew was real?